What if one of the most powerful warships ever built, an American nuclear-powered aircraft carrier worth over $4 billion, were suddenly sunk by a single small submarine from another navy? It sounds impossible. Yet, in 2015, that's exactly what happened. During a joint military exercise off the coast of Florida, the French nuclear submarine Saphir managed to slip past the defenses of the USS Theodore Roosevelt, one of the crown jewels of the U.S. Navy, and deliver a simulated strike that would have destroyed the carrier had it been real. At the time, the Theodore Roosevelt was preparing for deployment with Carrier Strike Group 12, a floating fortress of steel, 333 m long, home to 5,000 sailors, and over 60 aircraft surrounded by cruisers, destroyers, and submarines designed to protect it from any conceivable threat. It was meant to be untouchable. But beneath the waves, the Saphir, smaller and older yet remarkably stealthy, was about to prove that even the mightiest fleets can be vulnerable when faced with an opponent that no one can see. The exercise was intended to strengthen coordination between allied navies and to simulate real-world combat scenarios. In its first phase, the Saphir was part of the friendly forces, helping the U.S. Navy practice anti-submarine warfare. The American crews trained to detect and track enemy submarines, confident in their superior sonar systems and layered defenses. Then came the second phase when the French submarines switched roles. Now it was the enemy. Its mission to find and attack the Theodore Roosevelt and its protective escort ships. It was a daunting task. Dozens of American ships, aircraft, and helicopters were scanning the ocean, creating an intricate web of detection zones that should have been impossible to penetrate. Yet, the Saphir had one advantage that no sensor could easily counter: near-perfect stealth. The French submarine descended into the cold depths of the Atlantic. Every man on board knew that a single mistake, a noise too loud, a maneuver too quick, could expose their position. Slowly, methodically, they began their approach, gliding silently through the water. Inside the control room, sonar operators listened intently, analyzing faint echoes and subtle vibrations, trying to distinguish the mechanical hum of distant ships from the natural sounds of the sea. Hours passed. Above them, the massive American carrier group continued its routine, launching aircraft, adjusting formations, and running drills, completely unaware that an adversary was closing in. Finally, at periscope depth, the Saphir's commander raised the scope for a brief look. There it was, the Theodore Roosevelt. 100,000 tons of moving steel, cutting through the waves. The moment had come. After finalizing attack calculations, the Saphir dove deeper and simulated the launch of its torpedoes. Had those torpedoes been real, they would have torn through the carrier's hull and sent it to the bottom within minutes. The radio message that followed was short, almost chilling in its simplicity. "Captain, we have been hit." The unthinkable had just happened. When the exercise ended, the outcome was undeniable. The Saphir had successfully sunk not only the Theodore Roosevelt, but several of its escorts as well. The French crew had penetrated one of the most advanced defensive formations on Earth without being detected, executed a simulated strike, and escaped undamaged. The French Ministry of Defense even posted a summary of the exercise on its official website, celebrating the success. But soon after, that report quietly disappeared. The U.S. Navy made no official statement disputing the result, nor did it offer any public explanation. The silence spoke volumes. Within the naval community, analysts and officers understood exactly what this meant. Even the most powerful and technologically advanced fleet in the world could be vulnerable to a small, stealthy opponent operating in the shadows below. To grasp why this event caused such concern, one must understand what an aircraft carrier truly represents. It isn't just a ship. It's a nation's statement of strength. A mobile air base capable of projecting power anywhere on the planet. Each carrier costs billions to build and billions more to operate. It is the centerpiece of modern naval warfare, surrounded by layers of defenses that exist for one reason only: to protect it. Losing a carrier in combat would not only be a military disaster, but also a psychological and political one. And yet, in this exercise, a single relatively small submarine managed to slip through that wall of protection and deliver a theoretical killing blow. For many observers, this was not just an embarrassing outcome. It was a revelation about the future of warfare at sea. A decade later, that lesson feels even more urgent. Naval warfare is evolving at a pace not seen in generations. Drones, hypersonic missiles, artificial intelligence, and long-range precision weapons are transforming how nations think about control of the oceans. Submarines, once considered supporting assets, are increasingly recognized as decisive instruments of war, capable of striking without warning and disappearing into the vastness of the deep. Meanwhile, aircraft carriers, for all their power and prestige, are facing questions about their survivability. Critics have begun calling them floating targets. And even within the U.S. Navy, some strategists worry about how well carriers would fare against modern threats like swarming drones or hypersonic missiles. The Saphir simulated victory in 2015 was more than a fluke. It was a glimpse into a future where stealth, patience, and adaptability might outweigh sheer size and firepower. For the United States Navy, the 2015 exercise was an uncomfortable but valuable lesson. For France, it was proof that even a smaller navy could outthink and outmaneuver the largest fleet in the world. And for everyone else, it was a wake-up call that the rules of naval warfare were quietly changing. Today, the Saphir has been retired, replaced by more modern French submarines, while the USS Theodore Roosevelt continues to serve, stronger and more advanced than ever. Yet, the memory of that exercise lingers. Every time a carrier strike group sails into open waters, it does so knowing that somewhere beneath the waves, a silent hunter may be listening, watching, and waiting. The balance of power at sea has always shifted with technology. But in the end, it's not just about who has the biggest ships or the most planes. It's about who can stay hidden the longest, who strikes first, and who understands the silent game of the deep. And so the question remains, in the next great naval confrontation, will the giants of the surface still rule the seas? Or will the hunters below once again remind the world that size isn't everything?